Good morning, you lot. How are you all doing? What a lovely morning it is. I haven't made a little video. Oh man, I must have missed a whole week, I suppose. Crazy, man. Got a lot of stuff happening at the moment, so that's the reason why. And on top of it all, I got bloody I've had this cold, man, and I must have had it over a month, like literally nearly 2 months. It'll go and then it'll come back, and then it'll go and it'll come back. And now completely blocked up with just Play-Doh. Oh man, the snot is unbelievable. Like blocked up and a sore throat that you've never, it feels like my throat's been cut. It's so sore. So that's on top of that. So yeah, I'm just going to nip in the shop and get some lockets or something, or soothers, or whatever I can find, to try and there's nothing worse than trying to get through a day's work when your head is just full up with snot and fucked. So let me just go and get in the shop and get some medicines, if I can find any. I went in another shop and they had a whole chemist in it, but the chemist is shut, so I'll go and find some other medicines. I'll be back in a minute, hang on. Wow, bloody hell, managed to get some lockets. And I got some Orbis oil. Nice bit of Orbis oil. Should be able to relieve a bit of the pressure in the old sinuses, hopefully, with a bit of that. Need a handkerchief, really. I don't know. Right, let's get out of this garage. Go and have a sip of Orbis oil and a smidgen of locket, and yeah. Oh dear. It's not long now before the Talbot is going to have some modifications. I'm waiting upon parts at the moment. I'm waiting for bits and bobs. I've been waiting over a year for certain bits and certain bobs. So yeah, I'll tell you more about it in a minute. Let me just get out of this this shop car park and go to the final destination of cheese, and yeah, we'll have a little chit chat. The battery's running out on the camera typically. I think this camera got a bit fucked in the summer because I was putting it in the glove compartment during the daytime, and the heat was ridiculous in it, and I think it's killed the battery, man. It's just relentless, and you can't replace the batteries in these cameras either, so it ain't no good, dudes. But I'll be back in a TikTok. Yeah, so the trouble is, I committed to that over a year ago. I committed to it financially and everything else when everything was fine. Now we've got some problems, man. We've got some serious damp and mould problems in our home, and for a long time, man, I've been attacking it with keeping it at bay with mould spray and stuff, you know, cleaning the windows and everything, and keeping the condensation to a minimum, bought dehumidifiers and all sorts. Oh, where was I? Oh, someone come up to the bloody window and asked for directions. Now I've forgotten what I was talking about. But yes, we had dehumidifiers for a couple of years and they were working brilliantly, but they cost a fortune to run, man. Having them on every evening, you know. So it's getting quite bad now. I mean, the windows, we've got double glazed windows, but now they're leaking. They're about 30 years old, or more than 30, 40 years old, and they've got condensation in between the two glazes, so they need to be taken out and be repacked and all that bollocks and resealed. And condensation on the roof, on the ceilings, and it's just every evening I'm coming home from work, getting out the towels, drying it all off, and putting it, you know, having, before you lot say it, ventilation, windows, we've had the window, we haven't had the heating and we've had the windows open, you know. This is about 12 years this has been happening now. It happened ever since the government, I mean, our building is about, I don't think it's 70 years old, but it's getting on that way. It was built in 56, so it's getting on for that sort of age anyway. It's going along, and it was always fine until the government come along and said, hey, we'll give you free cavity wall insulation to help reduce energy costs. So of course I took it, didn't I? Right, took this cavity wall insulation. They come out, all free it was, on the government funded. Even though we ain't a council house or fuck all, nothing like that. It's private property, privately owned, but they were just like, yeah, you can have cavity wall insulation for free. So we had it, filled up the cavity with foam. The worst thing we ever did, I'll tell you that now, because ever since that happened, the condensation is ridiculous, man. It really is. We got vents and fans and all sorts. There's no point in having the windows open in the winter because the air outside is more moist than the bloody air on the inside. Like I say, having all the windows shut and the dehumidifiers on, it was alright, but it's costing a fortune. And not to mention, those dehumidifiers are about £400 each. The good ones, the shit ones, the cheap ones were shit. I tried loads of the cheap ones, they didn't do a dicky bird. You had to buy the good ones, but then they all broke after a few years, you know. And the only one that we got left is in the conservatory, because that's how we dry our washing. In the conservatory, shut it off, dehumidifier on, it dries in a couple of days. So yeah, my point is, before I got off track, was it's a bit of a tricky time at the moment. I committed to a lot of stuff financially over a year ago, and now all this stuff's coming up. So it's a bit of a wrong time really to be doing all that kind of stuff. But you know, doing all the what's it called, camper van. But you know, a lot of it I committed to over a year ago when everything was under control, you know. Had that Talbot now over a year. You lot first saw it about a year ago, but I've had it a long time, a long old time, dudes. So yeah, it's that's why I haven't been on the old filming scene for about a week, because literally been getting in from work, man. The amount of mould spray that I'm using, I'm buying it in 5 litre tubs. It's costing a bloody arm and a leg. It's like £24 for 5 litres. That lasts about, I don't know, what does that last? 5 litres lasts about 2 or 3 weeks. Oh man, but you can't have mould. You can't have mould in the kids' bedrooms and anywhere. So it's an essential. But now, you know what I mean? I can't believe I've had this cold now for like, God, when did I get it? Started off as just a cold, and it goes, and then it don't quite go. It's just still there, lingering. And then it pipes up again. Oh man, I had a cough from the bloody outer space the other day, and then I had a sore throat. Oh man, yesterday the sore throat was ridiculous. So now I'm just sort of chilling out. I've got my lockets. Look, I've got my lockets. I've got my Ubersoil. Trouble is, it makes you just want to go to sleep. Like, all I ever want to do is just sleep. It's just like the sleeping time. You know what I mean? But by the time I've got home, wiped all the mould away, all the condensation, everything's fresh again. Not a speck of black mould in sight. Everything's clean. It's about bloody 8:30. You know, it's very, very tiring. But yeah, that's it. I've been working 2 jobs for the last year to try and get up enough money to try and the plan for me really is to get the Talbot sealed up, right, and waterproof. That way I ain't got to worry about that. That's sealed up, that's waterproofed. That can sit on the drive now if it has to, but it won't. Once it's sealed up and waterproof, we'll be driving about in it, because it don't cost no more than, if we was to go out in the car, it's going to cost us diesel money. If we was to go out in the Talbot and have a nice little day out in the camper van, it's going to cost us petrol money, and that's it. Alright, maybe a bit of money for a bit of food cooking or whatever, but that's it. So we'll be using it, you know, going out and just chilling out in the Talbot. Once that's done, then we'll have to address the issue of the condensation in our home before it gets bad, man, because I'm worried that the actual structure of the home is going to become compromised. I've been worried about it for about 8 or so years before the kids were born, because obviously all this condensation on all the walls, they're all brick. All this condensation, it's gonna seep into them, and it ain't gonna be good. And the bathroom's bloody leaking as well. Need a new bathroom, but bathroom's about £6 grand. Where am I gonna get that from? You know. So the way I look at it is, we're stuck with a Talbot now. Could have sold it as a damp motorhome and lost loads of money, and then, but it would be gone and forgotten about, won't have to worry about it. Or we could just continue, plough on, we can't turn back, go. It will be sealed up and waterproofed, and once it's sealed up and waterproofed, it'll last another 10 years, which should do anyway. So then that's that done. That's not rotting away, because that will keep rotting as it is. If I leave it leaking, at the moment, the one side of the wall is completely rotten and the ceiling's rotten. If I leave it, the floor will go rotten, the other wall will go rotten, and before you know it, it'll be gone. So that's the plan, I think. I think that's the plan. Get that watertight, and then that's that off the shoulders, you know. And then we can just concentrate on all the other stuff and try to. I don't really know what the solution is, you know. They do these vents, they're like, yeah, put this in your loft and it ventilates the whole home, and all the condensation is never again, right? So then you do some research on it, and the people you do loads of research. Oh no, these vents they're no good whatsoever, and they cost a lot of money and they don't work. And you're like, it's a lot of money to buy and find out that it doesn't work, you know. So we need to find a solution for that, but I don't know what it is yet. If any of you lot have any solutions, I mean, we've tried loads of things. Dehumidifiers, electric ones, they do work, but they cost a fortune to run, and it's just not viable because we can't afford to pay to run them. The thing that we're trying at the moment, alright, because we don't usually have the heating on, because our little bungalow's so hot, it stays at 21 degrees all winter without having the heating on at all, right? So it's such warming now, we don't need the heating on. But obviously I know how condensation works, you know. The windows are cold, it's moist outside, a bit of moisture inside, it condenses on the windows, blah blah blah. Just like a glass of water. If you have a glass of water in the summer with ice in it, condensation happens around on top of the glass. So now, I was doing a bit of research, and there's a few videos on people saying don't have the heating off. It doesn't make any sense to me though, because the way they were saying it was, if it goes cold inside your home to colder or the same as outside, that's when you get condensation. But it doesn't. Our home stays at 20 to 21 degrees without the heating on, so we never have the heating on in the winter, never. Apart from maybe when it got really cold a couple of times, a couple of years ago, we had it on, come on in the morning for an hour just to take the chill out of the air. because it would go down to about 18 degrees then, which to me is comfortable. I'm happy at 16, 17 degrees. That's comfortable for me. Anything higher than that's too hot. But they say keep the heating on, the radiators and all of that underneath the windows will stop condensation. So we've got the heating on constantly. It's going to cost a bloody fortune, but I reckon it won't, because they say the boiler's already on, it will just keep kicking in and out and it won't cost any more money. But obviously it's going to cost more money because we never have the heating on, so we never burn any gas. But now we're burning gas. But I'm trying it. I'm trying to, if it stops the condensation, I'll have the heating on. Anyway, I'll catch you lot later on. I'm going to stop talking now because the battery's running out of camera, and I'm going to have a locket, and I'm going to have some Mould soil somewhere, find something to dab a bit on and sniff it, and I'll catch you another time. But there is going to be loads of videos on the Talbot literally coming up soon. Like I say, I'm waiting on parts. I committed on it over a year ago, you know, so it's going to happen. I can't turn around now. I just can't. Not only would I lose too much money, it's just all the time that I've spent on it would just be wasted if I gave up now. So there will be loads of videos coming up, you lot, of the Talbot, various parts, bits and bobs, repairing it, whatever. So stick around and I'll catch you lot later on. Enjoy yourselves, and try not to catch any colds because they are just banging, man, banging.